Today I'd like to start our meditation by talking about concentration. Concentration and meditation go hand in hand. And many times we take the position that we have to have concentration in order to have a successful meditation. But really, the meditation practice is teaching the concentration, and the concentration is teaching the meditation practice. So if in fact the concentration is not yet honed, then actually you're in an incredible position to learn how the method of meditation works, and in effect prove it to yourself, which then becomes a solid sounding board for another individual who then can learn from you. And you become a part of a living lineage experience, passed down from student to teacher or from person to person. So within this relationship, we can actually start to relax and realize that we are doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing. The mind is doing exactly what it is supposed to be doing. Why else would it do anything but that? So now this becomes an openness concept. The other side of the equation is that there's a yearning for stability, for stillness, for clarity. So then the action and the steps that move towards that is then the practice. But it becomes incrementative, not all at once. 1 degree by 1 degree. And that single degree that you shift into concentration, which is stabilizing the mind, is then usable. The opposite is attempt to go completely into concentration, still the mind. But we know through our effort that it is like a elastic. It keeps bouncing back, or like a rubber ball that is being bounced on the floor. It doesn't ever stay. So to relax yourself and to begin to hone the ability to become okay with the small improvements that exist within your meditation practice. The reality is that your everyday waking, walking, talking meditation and your seated meditation are synonymous. They are truly working together in order to create the perfect environment for the experience of yoga to occur. Which means if the mind is not steady, then we must look at life in order to find the answer. If life is not steady, we must then look at our meditation for the answer. And this is an important piece of the puzzle. We all know that the mind attempting to understand the mind is nearly impossible. We have to reach upwards or downwards in order to ground ourselves, in order to get enough insight to understand what is occurring within the mind. So why wouldn't life and meditation and concentration act any different? So we develop ourselves in such a way that we are using the technique in order to ground life, and we're using life in order to ground the technique. Then there's no escape, there's no getting away. It becomes simple. Simply complicated. There's this really great article floating around called Simply Complicated. And it basically speaks to the complexity that is our experience. But when you really start to look at it, that complexity is incredibly simple. And the further reality is that the complexity is occurring. And I know that almost sounds funny to say, but the complexity is occurring. And the complexity is not going to cease to occur. We are attempting to change the unchangeable. It does not want to cease. You would be very surprised to know the science behind how you move your finger back and forth. It's an intricate, complex relationship between the brain, the nervous system, the muscles within the body. But we simply wag the finger side to side. So if you can begin to engage your reality in that same way. And I understand that immediately the mind goes to this place that says, I don't know if it's actually possible. But that is the beauty of the whole thing, is that we are challenging reality as we know it in order to evolve. The evolution which is occurring is found inside you. So within this developing concentration, there needs to be a consistency. And the consistency is found within the everyday experiences of your life. The ability to maintain consistency comes from your allowance to find the joy within that which is occurring. I pride myself to say that I am the funniest, unfunny guy around. I can make light of most things. And the reason why that is because I know for a fact that it is not forever. And I know for a fact that there is always a place within me where I can rest into. No matter what it is that I'm experiencing on an emotional level or on a mental level. And I give all of the credit for the ability to see that humbly, simply within myself, to the practice of meditation. The ability to completely surrender to the sensation as it is occurring and allow the sensation to become the teacher. The sensation to become the teacher within meditation gives you the depth which is necessary in order to resonate with the truth which is occurring within your life. The ability to resonate with the truth that is occurring within your life gives you the free mental space to go back into your meditation. So again, they are working incredibly together. I feel that it is incredibly important for the practitioner of yoga to recognize that they have a conscious ability to decide. And this keeps coming up because I feel that many times we are still holding the position that we are not able to make a decision. We're not able to still the mind. And that being said, at the exact same time, we have no control. We have no decision-making power. And that is the beauty of the contradiction which occurs within all of the wisdom tradition. How to give maximum amount of effort without trying at all. How to be absolutely present, but completely disengaged and non-attached. Now that is the art. The realization has to come in that the velocity that your experiences are occurring at this moment are at a velocity because you've cultivated them to be that. You've cultivated them to be that. It's neuropatterning. And when you take on the position of new and fresh awareness with that exact same circumstance from a maturing perspective, you are now changing the pattern and in that the velocity of the emotional experience. And this becomes consciously unconscious activity. We want it to become so embedded and ingrained within our activity that we no longer even notice it. Because if we have to be conscious, that means that it is in its infancy or seedling stage and level. The stronger it gets, the bigger the tree, the less you have to be concerned about the health and well-being of this tree. It just simply begins to produce fruit. But at the exact same time, becoming ever so mindful and aware of the beginning stage of your practice. So the beginning of any practice in terms of technique does not ever leave that individual. The most advanced practitioners of anything out there in the world constantly moves from that place of the beginning. And they just become increasingly skilled at that. They get to know it so incredibly well. So this is your mind. And the techniques that you're learning, sattva, ananda. Through balance, we find this bliss. through bliss, we get guided down this path to deeper and higher realizations, to understandings, to synchronicities, to trust. Always moving from this place of balance, sattva, into this blissful state of ananda, again and again. Becoming tuned. Remember, the physical body is an instrument. The physical body is an instrument, which means that if the energetic current is challenged and it's creating disturbances within one's life, then we have little to nothing that we can do except begin to work with the inner instruments that we find within the body first. This is our technology. This is your technology. This is your technology. Everything that you work towards and achieve within your life is done through this body, is done through the magnetism of your mind, the creative genius of your mind. So to hone the skill of concentration and zeroing it in, not necessarily on a particular destination that you could vocalize or verbalize, but a knowing place. You know that it is right there. And you make that experience the most important part of your day. And I realize that this could be categorized under challenging. It's possible. Someone could argue that this is challenging to do. But what choice do you have? Really? Do you have a choice? Is your mind giving you an option? Is your heart giving you an option? Is your discomfort giving you an option? Maybe. But if there's a hint of no, well then, here we go. That's a good one. Here we go means that it's time to take the opportunity. Become conscious. Become conscious of your tendencies and become strong enough not to go there anymore. Become skilled enough to just rest into it and not bother with a reaction. Not bothering with a reaction, but instead developing a response, which is filled with action. An action first applied inwardly, and then second applied outwardly. And in that effort, there becomes an immense amount of traction. An immense amount of traction begins to come out of that simple equation. Inwardly, then outwardly. If you can take a meditation practice twice a day, morning and night, and bookend your life experience with meditation, then you become guided by that energy, guided by the light found within your meditation. And it is 100% that it will not fail. It will not let you down. Especially if you are working with a technique. Because the technique means that a person, a group of people, generations of people have been going down that exact same path. The exact same path. Which means you are not just walking into the dark. You're actually walking onto a path. Using a path. So this is the significance of orientation. You have to orientate yourself. Orientate yourself to the body, to the breath, to the mind, to your environment, both inwardly and outwardly, and also the path of meditation. And this is potentially the piece that is missing, is the orientation component. We have not yet fully orientated ourselves. So for me, my favorite activity is subtle sensory experience. This is my favorite. Like from a child, I used to sit there and just stare at the wall. 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, staring at the wall. Or staring at the carpet, Persian carpets, just gazing at them and feeling my breath and how my breath began to transform the sensations within my body. But then grounding into those sensations is now the next step of maturing. So grounding into the sensation is coming now from the power of the mind. Your ability to concentrate on the body, which is your action figure. It is what is moving you around. So to integrate that concentrated energy that comes from the mind, that is honing itself around those subtle sensations, is then to infuse the cells of the body, the tissue of the body, with that experience. And then you begin to move through your life like that, like a magnet, magnetized. You go down and you go up, you go hop, up, down, down, up, down, down, with your mental process, with your emotional stability. This is causing the frustration. This is causing the stop-start of your meditation. So to actually recognize, really recognize, that you do this. And cure yourself. So Patanjali was considered to be the jungle doctor. Patanjali wrote one of the most significant pieces of writing in the yogic tradition. The jungle doctor who had the elixir to extract the samsara, which is the human conditioning, the suffering. You are in the process of extracting that condition of suffering. To see that it is just simply another sensation, just like all of the rest of them. And you do not any longer have to follow it down or up. Instead of following around all of the emotion and mental pattern, why not let it all come to you? Settle yourself. Settle yourself. Become the self. You can still do all the activities which you love to do, but now you're not chasing. You are simply being, and now this is the wisdom, the tradition of a wisdom. Challenge yourself to come up with an answer. Challenge yourself to come up with an answer. Have the rigor, the discipline, the devotion, the compassion, the empathy to challenge yourself to come up with the answer. Look inside first, and then outside as a sounding board to then verify your findings. Self-reliance is a beautiful thing. And when it comes to the experience of meditation, it is necessary. Because that's what meditation is. It is a practice that is guiding an individual into the confidence which is necessary in order to achieve that which you see with your mind's eye that you wish to achieve. The confidence. So now we must do away with all of the discussion that comes up as dialogue within your mental experience. And if it does arise, then there is the compassion and the empathy for that piece of you which is feeling that way. That little piece you then cradle, swaddle up, rock it into relaxation, into comfort, into attention, into concentration, and into that direction that you know, that you see, and that you feel. So this is healing the world from the inside out. You are a part of a healing team, healing the world from the inside out in your own beautiful way. The more you understand yourself, the more you understand the whole world. So that which you feel, either as great elation or as something that is fragile and sad, is not yours to own. It's just not yours to own. It's yours to heal. It's yours to take care, be in charge of, and bring it back to a healthy vibration again. I mean, you see the state of the world out there. It's the same as the state of the world inside there. There is little to no difference. You are all a bunch of crazed radicals in some moments of your day. And then at other moments, you are the most peaceful, mountain-like, sitting in deep contemplation, and everything in between. So to simply ask yourself the question, who am I? Who am I? Who am I in relationship to my environment? Who am I physically, energetically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Who am I? And orientate yourself so that then you begin to recognize the signs, recognize the path, recognize when you've already passed that 3 times. And when you begin to recognize the inner reality or environment, you begin to be more confident. Because it's no longer an unknown which is moving at rocket-like speeds. You begin to slow down. There's no rushing. There's nowhere to go. It's an eternal space. Space is eternal. There's nowhere to go. You just keep finding the exact same stuff. Haven't you noticed? It's the exact same stuff over and over and over again. So this is why I'm suggesting, stop running, stop chasing. There's nowhere to go. And just start settling into the place that you are. You're here. You're here for a reason. You're here obviously because you want to, or else you would not be here. So therefore, make this place the best place. The best place. With the circumstances that you have to work with, make it the best. And then let the world come to you. But remember, you have to let the world come to you. So if you put on a scary mask and yell at the world, they're going to be afraid. They're going to be like, this guy's a crazy maniac. But if you make tea and offer the world to sit down, I bet you they will. But the thing is that you say, I tried that. I've tried that. And it didn't work. Why didn't it work? Why didn't it work? So now this is an attachment to an outcome. This is a very old concept, a very old part of the equation. The attachment to an outcome, which is not then met with the desired result, becomes immediately a fail. And it manifests in your meditation all the time. You failed. Eesh. But actually you succeeded. The world came and had tea. It just didn't look the way you thought it would. Relaying the message is all you had to do. Come for tea. The world will come for tea or not. But if the world decides not to come for tea, well then, you're off the hook. You get to enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself, which has been a challenge. We have not fully yet given the permission to enjoy the self for the self. Enjoy yourself exactly how you are. Imagine, this is now the truth. We're getting to the truth here. We're getting to the truth. This is close. If you just drop it all away, just drop it away. There's no more trying. Do you know how we attempt to keep a vibration in a certain way in order to achieve that which we want to achieve? Now, what if we just drop it away? There's no balls in the air which need to be juggled any longer. And we're just going to be with ourselves. Now this becomes a true statement, a true experience, a true relationship. We have not yet allowed ourselves to be with ourselves. This is why the self is so elusive. It has not yet been recognized or realized. I'll tell you something, and chances are high you will not even believe me when you see it. But when you close your eyes, what you are looking at is the source experience of all things. Try it. Close your eyes. And there it is. That is God. That is consciousness. That is the experience of the self. The mind refuses it. It refuses to recognize that the space you see in front of you has any validity other than space. that thoughts roll in and out of. But that quality of space is the very fiber which is weaving together to manifest the reality. So when we get to the truth, what we are attempting to run away from is the inevitable. All of these great ideas that we get, schemes almost, in order to make the quality of life better, are actually movements away from the true and authentic experience and relationship. And if there is any truth to that, well then if we start to just soften into that, letting go, and just seeing what happens, follow it, then it has no choice but to become great. But in order for it to become great, you must work through the karma that you have to work through. And we are shy towards discomfort. So we run away from the inevitable which must then occur. And it happens anyways, right? Run. It happened anyways. So the practice of meditation is actually a quickening opportunity, speeding it up, so that then you move through, accept, and learn with your meditation, rather than in the rest of your life. So that then the problem has already been solved within the technical side of your meditation, so that then when it comes to the real time, the real life experience, you are just simply visiting that which has already occurred. And it comes up as a sensation, a discomfort within the body, a noisiness within the mind, a rattled emotion. But if we just stick with it and say, this is my meditation, you are truly working with the finest qualities of that fiber of space, which is the most influential within the game of life. Someone could say, well, how do you know? Only through my direct experience. And through studying a practice. And through seeing examples time and time again. That's the only way that anything could be scientifically proven. Is starts with a hypothesis, and then it goes into the fire of experiment, and you have to get the same result again and again and again and again. And if it doesn't come up the same, well then there's something off. Either it is the approach, or it's the hypotheses in general. But you will not know until you go through this process. The higher the concentration, the quicker it happens. The lower the concentration, the longer it takes. This is why Patanjali talks about mild, medium, or intense effort yields mild, medium, or intense results. But the intensity is through softening. The intensity is through allowing. The intensity still has a rigor to it and a discipline. But the reasons why you are doing the work begins to change. Because there's no longer an attachment to an outcome. And this is one of the strongest things that I learned through my personal meditation. Just before my initiation, that was the number one lesson that I kept learning. Dropping the attachment of finding the same depth of meditation that you found yesterday. So remember, the meditation is teaching you about life, and life is teaching you about meditation. The whole thing is a spiritual journey. Your yoga mat is not a spiritual journey. The time spent within a yoga center is not the spiritual journey. Every waking moment of a 24-hour day is your spiritual journey. So the on-off switch has to be broken. Off. On. All the time on. Sleep, realize. Awake, realize. Walk, realize. Nothing has to change in one's life. Not a single thing, unless it's supposed to change. And then it may move around on you. Just a little. And then a lot. And then even more. And then you start to get butterflies because it's moving quickly, the change. And then potentially you get cast off into some deserted island feeling like you're all alone, like you're so different because everything has changed on you. And there's just one single beautiful palm tree there on this little island. Of course has coconuts so you can stay alive. And you stay there and wait for the next step. You're wading your feet in the water every once in a while, wondering, where did everybody go? Every once in a while you see a ship go by, and you attempt to yell for help, but they're not even listening. They're all too drunk. So you put your feet back into the water and learn how to accept the fate of your reality. And what's magical is that as soon as you fully accept, then something happens. And it's not a huge something, it's a small something. Some mysterious parachute, white parachute drops down and with a little chocolate bar. And the chocolate bar says, "Be mine." And you're like, that's very strange. So you eat the chocolate bar.
Because you're hungry.
Because you are hangry. Well past hungry. You are hungry for it all. It's not just one thing anymore. It's everything. You are hungry. You are thirsty. You are wanting. And that level of intensity is truly what is necessary. It's necessary. It's part of the equation. It has to be there. If it wasn't there, then you would not care. You would just become complacent. Drifting on the sweet currents, taking you to a populated island. But eventually this intensity makes you go a little bit crazy on this island all by yourself. You go so crazy that you tear down the palm tree, makeshifting the coconuts into an axe, and you chop this palm tree down, and you make a raft. And you say, that's it. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die attempting to get back. So you jump onto this raft. And what you didn't fully realize is that you actually have no control over this raft. That it is not taking you into your desired location. It is taking you out, and away. So in that moment in time, you decide to just relax into the inevitable, whatever that may be. And as the individual drifts from a conscious state to an unconscious state, back into a conscious state, into an unconscious state, there is a recognition that something is there. There is a recognition in those moments of time where it feels like, there's just no way out. Which gives an element of peace, almost euphoric. And without you even noticing, you wash up onto the shores of Miami Beach. Please close your eyes. Allow the body to teach you comfort and relaxation. your breathing, to teach you attention. Allow your mind to teach you concentration. Allow the dynamic stillness to teach you direction. keeping the eyes closed, bring full deep breaths into the body. Keeping the eyes closed, bring your gaze into the space just there in front of you. And with a slight increase of intensity, maintain the integrity. The integrity of that space. Keeping the eyes closed, soften your gaze. And very, very slowly, without rushing, allow your eyes to open. And as they open, choose a place to gaze. On the floor, or just in front of you. And take a moment. Take a moment to understand that now what you have seen and learned from your meditation must be converted into a method that you can then systematically follow, that you can adhere to, that will give you the strength that's necessary to become disciplined with yourself, to have the rigor, and most importantly, to have the confidence that you are truly doing it. For real, you are doing it. And these moments coming out of meditation are very important. Potentially more important than the actual practice of meditation. Because this is what is setting the tone for that transitionary moment where eyes are closed to where eyes are opened, where we go from a seated technique of meditation into an eyes open, walking and talking meditation. So now we actually move truly from that place. This is very exciting. Thank you very much, everyone. See you next week.